All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our weekly review for this week for The Walking Dead World Beyond. This is for Season 1, Episode 6, Shadow Puppets. Alright, so a few people wanted to know why I'm continuing with the reviews for Walking Dead World Beyond. Basically, we're over halfway through the season now. We might as well finish up the season, and I'm going to watch the rest through. And I am actually intrigued to see the different scenes, a spoiler warning, with the CRM community. So I like to see the different things they're doing with the CRM, whatever experiments they're doing, whatever they can show us that might be used later in the Walking Dead Rick movie is part of the reason why I do watch the show still. And I feel like doing the channel here with you guys, I kind of have to. If you want to skip it, I'll recap it for you each week, and that's fine. Basically, this week's episode is called Shadow Puppets. So in this episode, the kids run into a new survivor, which we kind of saw at the end of episode 5. And so this takes us into the back half of the season now. I guess there's not going to be any break or anything. We're just getting the 10 episodes straight through. And I did read that they're still planning to go ahead with the second season for Walking Dead World Beyond. It's not just because of the worldwide COVID situation. It's not going to be canceled, most likely. They're still going to do it from what they're saying. But we'll see. You never know. We'll see when the season wraps up how many people are watching the last episode, like episode 10. If almost nobody's watching it, I would not be surprised if they decide to cancel the second season. But, they said they were going to do 2 seasons, so I hope they do that. I'll say for Walking Dead World Beyond, it certainly is not my favorite series ever, but, sometimes it's okay, and some of it, nowadays you can kind of skip. If you don't like certain things, or you want to kind of skip through it, you could DVR it, whatever. You kind of skip through it anyway, so it's not too bad. So this episode's Shadow Puppets. So okay. This was basically a znation episode. If you guys have ever seen znation, I reviewed it for a couple years there, and actually 5 years? 5 years there. I reviewed it from the beginning until actually when it finished. You had these different kind of trials and tribulations that the znation characters would go through, and they would run into these different ragamuffin or these different ruffian characters when they were out there traveling around. They did like an episode where there was like this postman and stuff like this, and so they had some kind of fun different characters like that, carnies and stuff like that in znation. I don't know why they had those a lot. Maybe they're kind of cheap to get in terms of budget or something, and so they had that. With Walking Dead World Beyond in this week's episode, they run into Percy, who's this kid who basically is kind of taken in by the group a little bit with the story that Felix kind of comes out. He's got like a stick, and you can kind of tell he's a villain right away, and so he sort of seems to be a villain, but then by the end of the episode, he's kind of all right, I guess, is where it ends off. So basically, he kind of joins the group because he says that people have stolen his truck and stolen his stuff, and so he wants to kind of go after them in a local town or what have you. Felix disarms him, and the kids decide that they want to pursue this, and because if he has a truck, he could help them on their journey and maybe drive them faster to New York. So they go along with Percy, and they go to help him, and they go into this little town there, and they see his truck, and it drives by, and you got this older guy in it who looks to be injured, or when they find him dying, turning, this kind of thing. And I guess the twist of the episode is that basically the older guy who's with him, with Percy, who's pretending to be a zombie and pretending to be dead, ends up to be alive and steals all their stuff. And then Percy kind of gets out of the section that he's in with Iris, and they take off. So that's kind of the twist of the episode, is that no one's stole anything from them, and that they are actually playing this magic trick and end up stealing the stuff from the group, so they get all their stuff lifted. Now, what ends up happening is you have Iris, who gets into it with a couple of walkers in like a trash bin or something like this, and Felix is trying to save her, the others are trying to help her, and then Percy and the guy he's with, did he say it was his uncle or something like that? that, come back in the truck, run over a few zombies, and kind of save them. So they basically changed their mind. So they had this whole thing set up to rob them, and they change their mind and come back, so they end up being not so bad in the long run, in that they typically do rob people, I guess, but because Iris decided to go back after him and risk her own life when she had the perception or thought that he had been shot and killed, because she went back for him, he felt bad, so he saw the zombies coming, so he came back to give them their stuff back, and that's basically, pretty much what they do. And then they do a shadow puppets show, and the episode pretty much wraps with one scene of some more testing and stuff at the CRM, but it doesn't give us a whole lot. So, I can't describe it any better than just to say that this is a Z-Nation episode. Z-Nation did stuff like this for years and years and years, where you would have the group in the zombie apocalypse and their version, and they would run into different characters, and there would be tricks and different things like this. Especially brings back a lot of memories of that, especially because Percy and the guy he's with sort of are like, maybe street magicians or something like this, and do the shadow puppet show and this whole thing. So that's what it ends up being for the episode. So it was an okay twist when it ended up being that they were stealing their stuff instead of the other way around. So that was decent enough, and it was okay. And I guess another okay twist that Percy changed his mind. They came back and helped them again. But it kind of was weird because it's sort of like they didn't really end up getting anywhere. Now, they have the truck now, so they'll get probably a ride and get at least a distance, so it'll be worth it for them to get a ride with them in their truck. But it felt like kind of like they were going around in circles because they went with them, they went in, they got tricked, and then they came back, and then they just kind of like, it was like, okay, whatever. It was like, so I'm sure it'll, amount to them getting a ride further distance towards New York in episode 7 next week. But, in terms of this being, like, how do I feel about this episode by itself? I felt like it was, not great. There was some intense parts when they were coming in, and the kids, you always feel scared for the kids because they seem to be so helpless a lot of the time. But, basically, it was just kind of the rigmarole of being run around. So, and that's what the episode mostly was. Although the shadow puppets part of it was okay, I guess, for them to watch that. But, so, in terms of score for the episode, I'm just going to give this one a 3 out of 10. Z-Nation did a lot of stuff like this, and it was more fun because it was a comedy type show. So it worked okay for that. To see something like this in The Walking Dead after 10 years into the zombie apocalypse, it doesn't exactly feel perfectly natural to me that Percy and the other guy would come back given any circumstances. Because if they've been out there in the world surviving for that long, even if they've been with different camps or whatever, typically that doesn't quite fit right with me. It doesn't seem like they would actually do that. They would come back for them. And also that you would be just kind of waiting there for people to come by so you could rob them. And using gas to do it, using gas for a truck to do it as fuel. It doesn't seem to fit right for me because it's like people wouldn't probably come by that often after 10 years. I wouldn't think. So you're sitting there waiting for people to kind of bait them in and play this trick on them. And maybe you've done it a few times and people often fall for it. I don't know. It's, it wasn't a great episode for me, but I'm kind of getting used to that with World Beyond. So that's basically it for this week's recap or review, guys. Let me know what you thought about. Leave your comments below, and I'll see you guys back in for another video again soon. As always, this is Trev, and I'm Syfy. So, guys, see you soon.